CK crew, it's Chantel and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So we have a lot of catching up to do. So much has happened in my life and with my health. If you've been keeping up with my fibroid journey, if you're new here, check out my old videos where I am describing my health regarding my fibroids and what my next steps are. But for today's Conversations with Chantel episode 11, I'm going to discuss my pre-op appointment, my lab work, and my ER visit. And as always, I have my notes in case I forget anything. So first I'm going to start with my pre-op appointment, which took place on April 23rd at Stanford Hospital. Everything went well in the beginning. I had to do, of course, a pregnancy test again. I had to do lab work in that pre-op appointment. The surgeon fully examined me, and because of the severity of my enlarged uterus and large fibroids, I'm actually a case study for Stanford. So not only did my surgeon examine me, but her entire team did. It's just something that they don't come across very often, so they were very interested. So I had my stomach examined, which it wasn't too painful. Of course, they realized and saw in person how big my stomach was protruding. At the time of my pre-op, my uterus was still about 6 weeks, so it looked like I was 6 weeks pregnant with no baby. So that is also so not normal. And I had a pelvic exam as well, and that just kind of confirmed what I was already told from my biopsy and my transvaginal ultrasound, that nothing was in place where it should be. So that was, I was kind of expecting that. So I was told everything that would be removed, which would be everything except for my ovaries, unless she decided to during surgery if something didn't look right or if it would cause me any harm. I was scheduled for my surgery. I was confirmed with the time, and we'll get into that in the next episode when I fully discuss my surgery. So after that, just kind of went over the do's and don'ts as far as preparation for what I need to do the night before and the morning of surgery. And then I got all my paperwork, signed paperwork for like insurance and blood work and different stuff like that. Then I went down to the lab to do my lab work, which has to be done within 30 days before surgery at Stanford. And everything was going good until it wasn't. I was getting my lab results as I was headed home. If you don't know, I live in Patterson, California, and Stanford is about almost 2 hours on a good day. So I was headed back home with my mom, and I was, like I said, I was getting my lab work done. Everything was coming back normal, except for one, which was my potassium, which was critically low. And my doctor kept trying to call me, and for some reason her call would not go through. I don't know to this day why. I was getting all of her voicemails, but the call was not coming through to me. So she was leaving me voicemails and saying how critically low and dangerous my potassium was. My potassium was 2.7, and the range is like 3.5, I think, to 5.5 or something like that. So obviously mine was really low, and so she requested, or demanded I should say, that I go to the ER to have my heart evaluated. So that threw me completely off. I already have like health anxiety. I think like my blood pressure and my heart rate be so high every time I go to the doctor. So I was already like anxious about my pre-op appointment and what would happen and what they would tell me. So that just took me over the edge completely. So I'm like, oh my goodness, like what is wrong now? But I guess if you have too low potassium in your body, it can cause like heart rhythm problems. And obviously they want that fixed before surgery because I was going under anesthesia. So I went to my ER, which was in Modesto, which is about like 25-30 minutes away from me. So that was an experience in itself. I was in the ER for 8 hours total. I would say I was probably in the ER 7 hours before I was even seen for my potassium. I did an EKG when I first got there, and they checked my heart, and the rhythm and everything was fine, so they were really confused as to why my potassium would be so low, especially for my age. So that was a long process. I was already tired and spent from the day and everything, so I was so anxious and so worried that this was going to put off my surgery. And I had been waiting for like a good year, maybe a little more than a year. And so I was like, Lord, I can't have something else happen. So I was given potassium through an IV, which was extremely painful. They had to do an extremely slow drip. And I had to have 2 bags because mine was so low. That was just so stressful, even thinking about it now, like OMG. But I didn't have to be admitted, which I was glad, because I just wanted to go home and be in my own space and in my own bed. So after I had that done, the doctor prescribed me potassium pills. So I picked that up the next day from my pharmacy, and then I had to do a follow-up with my primary physician. So I did that 3 days later, and I had more lab work done, and everything was good. My potassium went up to 3, but it was still too low. So she prescribed me more potassium pills, potassium chloride. So I had to take that. I was eating everything that had potassium in it that I could find. And then we found out the cause of my low potassium was a blood pressure medicine that I was taking, which was chlorthalidone. So not only did she put me on potassium chloride pills, she also changed my blood pressure medication. And then Stanford requested that I had my blood work done again May 18th, which was the week prior to when I would be having surgery. So I did that, and thank goodness it went up to, I believe, 3.4 or 3.5, which was in the range, thankfully. So I was able to move forward with my surgery. So I will get into all of that in the next episode of Conversations with Chantel. But I just wanted to give you guys a quick catch up because it's been so long. The month of May was so draining and taxing physically and mentally, but I'm very blessed and happy to share that I'm on the other side of the journey. So if you have any questions regarding anything I discussed in this episode, if you have questions just in regard to women's health or fibroids, or in which surgery you should get or not get, any advice or tips, please let me know in the comments and I will be sure to get back to you. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And follow my blog, chantelkiana.com, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!